Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of You Skip That. I'm Alex Grace.
And I'm Dan Clark, and I have allergies, so...
He does. He sounds a little more hoarse this week.
A little bit more than usual, but I'm feeling okay. If I sound a little quiet or a little scratchy, that's what's going on. I was fine yesterday. I was fine this morning.
Yeah, you were fine last time I talked to you, which was recently.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Just today was the day it decided to kick me, but it is well below freezing tonight, so hopefully that'll kill anything that's giving me problems.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Indeed. Well, it's officially the second week of our ho-ho holidays.
Yep.
4 episodes covering some Christmas movies that one of us had seen, but the other hadn't.
Correct.
Dan's previous one, as per usual, was a stone cold classic. And mine has a whopping, but really honestly undeserving, 5% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm going to be upfront. I wasn't crazy about this movie. I wouldn't give it a 5%.
Right. Yeah. Like, I've seen much worse movies with like 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah, there are parts of the movie that I wasn't crazy about, but it was better than 5%.
Right.
By a pretty wide margin. I'd put it probably 50 at the very lowest.
Yeah. And it has about a 5-star rating on IMDb out of 10.
Yeah.
So that feels fair to me.
Yeah.
This feels like a 5-star movie. But it does have a couple of good solid laughs in it. And we are talking about the 2004, 20 years old, the 20th anniversary.
There you go.
Of Christmas with the Kranks, the much less popular Tim Allen Christmas movie.
Yeah. I will say, like I said, I have issues with the movie. It's not my least favorite Tim Allen Christmas movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
This ranks above Santa Claus 3.
Yeah,
but most movies do.
There are 2 Santa Claus movies in a Disney Plus show. There is no third one.
I haven't seen the Disney Plus show.
Disney Plus show's okay. So, not the biggest fan of Christmas with the Kranks?
I had some real issues with like the first 2 acts of it.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
But the last act, when stuff starts feeling Christmassy...
Yes.
I like that a lot more.
Me too. A little bit of plot for the movie. So, Tim Allen and Jamie Lee Curtis play a pair of empty nester parents, Luther and Nora Krank, who send their daughter Blair off to go serve in the Peace Corps in Peru. As soon as Blair's left, there's a deep depression sets in, and they're like, oh, Christmas isn't going to be the same. So Luther comes up with the genius idea, I put genius in air quotes,
right,
that none of you got to say, to skip Christmas. A phrase that gets said many times in this.
Many times. Yeah, it's also the name of the book that it's based on.
But he decides they should skip Christmas and save all the money they would have spent on all the parties and the decorations and the gifts, a whopping $6,100, and go on a cruise for a measly $3,000.
About half the price, yeah.
Half the price. Nora, after hearing the savings and getting him to commit to at least donate to their favorite charities for the holiday, agrees to boycott Christmas with him. What follows is a full act of some of the most insane behavior I've ever seen from everyone else in this movie.
Yeah. People are just not a fan of someone else not wanting to do Christmas.
That is always the funniest thing to me in this movie. Is it reminds me a lot of the Andy Griffith Show. Just a whole bunch of well-meaning busybodies.
Right.
Who just cannot accept the fact that these people just don't want to do Christmas. They're like, well, we'd allow it if you had some religious objection or something, but you just don't want to do Christmas because reasons?
Yeah. That was one that kind of got me, was when the carolers pull up and they're like, are they home? They go, yeah, but they're not celebrating. They go, oh, Jewish, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Buddhist. They go down like a whole list of other possible things.
Yeah.
Other possible religions they could be.
They say no, they just aren't celebrating. It's like that lady's war face goes on.
Yeah.
Like, they're allowed to just not put stuff up. It's okay.
But then there's a solid end of the second act twist where Blair, their daughter, calls and reveals that she and her new fiance are coming back from Peru and are going to be there on Christmas Eve, the day before they're supposed to leave on this cruise, and nothing has been done.
And they expect everything to have been done.
Yeah, it's going to be her Peruvian fiance's first American Christmas.
Yep, make sure the tree's up, the Frosty's in place, the party's going on.
The hickory honey ham.
All my favorite foods, like...
It's just almost a comical amount of, hey, all the stuff you haven't done? Do that.
Yeah. And then she even calls up partway through all the preparation and goes, "Oh, are you going to have my favorite pie?"
Yeah.
No.
No.
I didn't know you were going to be here. No one else wants the pie.
But all the people, all the well-meaning busybodies from the first 2 acts, surprisingly have like this beautiful change of heart. Not for Luther,
No.
but for his daughter, who apparently was just the neighborhood angel who babysat everybody's kids and
Treated everyone like
treated
family.
everyone like family. Everybody gangs together to undo Luther's mistake and make Christmas happen.
Right.
And it's actually kind of moving.
Yeah, it might be because Megan's not super into Christmas, and so we don't always put stuff up. But when they're all like, "But what about this? What about you're not going to do this?" Like, no, just leave them alone. Like, some people just don't do Christmas. It's fine. But when Dan Aykroyd's character,
Yes, Vic Frohmeyer,
good name, it's a very good name,
great name,
gets up on the ambulance and goes, "All right, guys, we really got to band together. Who's got a turkey? Who's got a tree?" I was like, this is what I want from a Christmas movie.
Yes.
This is what I want. People just
Got a little It's a Wonderful Life to it.
a little bit. It also kind of has like end of Blazing Saddles vibes. Not end when they break out, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay, everyone, we got to do this impossible thing in like
2 hours.
2 hours to fool someone into thinking that
Yeah.
they're getting their way. Yeah, just
I didn't think about that, but yeah, it does kind of have that vibe.
it even has the you have to have a distraction out there. In this, it's cops going out and driving very slowly through the streets, but
Yes.
as opposed to a toll booth.
But now that we've covered the plot, what were some things you liked?
I like the whole last act.
Yeah.
Like I said, everyone coming together. That's what a Christmas movie is supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
I got a few good laughs out of the beginning when people weren't being total tools about it. And it wasn't necessarily like I was always siding with the people that
Wanted to skip Christmas.
Christmas. Like, there are times where, like, just give them Frosty.
Yeah.
know?
They're just asking for a snow. They're like, if you'll just put Frosty up, or we'll put Frosty up for you.
Put him on the front porch. We'll get him up there for you.
And then we'll just leave you alone. No big deal. The police come by and are selling like a $10 calendar or something, and he won't even do that out of principle.
Right. Just, we are boycotting Christmas. Like, why?
Yeah, and Cheech goes down the whole list of all the stuff they do with the charity money, and it's like, reading to orphans and feeding disabled war veterans and taking gift baskets to the poor.
Yeah, it's like the movie goes out of its way to make us not like this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I like the kind of play between him and his neighbor across the street.
Oh, yeah, Walt.
Who calls him old man.
Who's clearly a solid 10, 15 years older than Tim Allen.
Yeah. If not more. I like that. Because I've had those kinds of relationships with people before. That was fun. I do like Dan Aykroyd in this.
He is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'd heard, like, I'd seen the Rotten Tomatoes score. I'd heard people talk about how this is like the worst Christmas movie you'll ever see. And it's not.
Yeah.
So I went into it prepared to...
Jingle All the Way exists, which I love.
Right.
But is objectively a terrible movie.
Yeah, I went into it prepared to like it a lot less than I did.
Yeah.
And I ended up, like, the first part, I was like, yeah, this is kind of living not all the way down to expectations. I got some laughs. There are some decent characters. That's mostly the last act is what I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
That was the part where I was like, oh, this is like a Christmas special. Just, like, chop up the first part of this into, like, 10, 15 minutes and then put this on the end, and you got yourself a solid,
1 hour Christmas special.
with commercials, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are definitely bits of the first part that kind of, like you said, kind of hits you over the head with, like, everyone in this town is way too concerned about these people skipping Christmas.
It ends up in the newspaper.
Yeah, it ends up in the newspaper. To Tim Allen's character might be the worst person ever.
Right.
Just like a greedy Scrooge-like son of a gun. That being said, the heads of those two factions, Dan Aykroyd's character, Vic Frohmeyer, and Tim Allen's Luther, both get solid laughs out of me in that first bit. During the caroling scene we were talking about, I love when it keeps cutting to Vic aggressively caroling.
Right.
Like looking so angry as he's singing Jingle Bells.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen anything funnier than Tim Allen trying to eat peaches after getting a Botox shot.
Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis trying to cover herself at the tanning booth in front of the priest. That was funny. Yeah, it's got some solid laughs. And I would say, like, the very end, like when he goes over to the neighbors across the street, that's genuinely heartwarming.
Yes.
I like that scene a lot. So there's stuff in here that I genuinely genuinely like, which I was not expecting. Like I said,
Right.
I'd seen the Rotten Tomatoes scores, I'd seen reviews. I was not as much looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
Not like Twilight, not looking forward to it.
I wondered if you were going to bring that up.
No, but
This is the skin of a Christmas skipper.
so is this like a yearly tradition for you?
So yeah, we watch a lot of Christmas movies, and just by sheer volume, some of them aren't going to be winners.
We've even talked about the fact that some of the classics that you go to every are not good. They're just baked into your brain.
Agreed.
And I can see this being one of them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like I said, a Christmas tradition on the day we decorate for Christmas. We watch Jingle All the Way as one of the movies. It's usually sandwiched in between Muppet Christmas Carol,
Right.
which is Stone Cold Classic,
Oh, yeah.
and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Stone Cold Classic.
Another Stone Cold Classic. And we usually just squeeze Jingle All the Way right in the middle, which, again, a bunch of solid laughs, but not a great movie overall.
No. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
But no, I think we got this one. This is another classic Grace's DVD bargain bin find, I think. I don't think we went to see this one in the theaters. We do with a lot of Christmas movies.
Right.
But even a bad Christmas movie is still better than just a bad movie.
Right.
If it's at least somewhat Christmassy. We saw this either on DVD or something. It just kind of become one we put on every Christmas at some point during the season.
I can see this being an easier one to watch when you're not sitting there watching it.
Yeah.
It's a good background movie.
It is.
Because if you're watching it, you do get hammered over the head with the, oh, you're a horrible person for skipping Christmas and da-da-da. But if you're just kind of like put it on and a half hour later go, oh, you're still being a jerk. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you put it on, you're putting tchotchkes up on shelves.
Right.
And, you turn around just in time to see Dan Aykroyd hanging onto the side of Jamie Lee Curtis's car as she speeds down the road and then leaves his gloves behind in the window. Then you look away for a minute and you come back and Tim Allen's hanging upside down from his eaves after trying to put Frosty up by himself.
I will say it's an interesting movie.
It is. I was really surprised. About the second or third time I was watching it, I actually sat down and watched it. Because I think every time up till then we'd been baking cookies or decorating the house or something when it was on. And I saw the opening credits and saw, based on the book Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. And
I knew it was one of ththose dad authors like John Grisham or Michael Crichton or someone like that.
Yeah, I was like, John Grisham, the law book guy?
Yeah.
What a weird choice.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta cleanse
Shake
the
it
palate.
up, Yeah. Just not a genre you expect.
No.
To find a John Grisham credit on.
That'd be like watching a kid's movie and seeing directed by Quentin Tarantino.
I actually think that would be really interesting. But could he get through a whole movie without dropping a swear word or a slur?
Yeah, that'd be tricky for him.
So, the movie was originally going to be called Skipping Christmas. But apparently, there was another movie being released at the same time called Surviving Christmas.
I have seen Surviving Christmas.
And apparently, they were both terrible, and nobody cared.
Yeah, Surviving Christmas is a very, very bad movie that will not be featured on this.
Yeah. Something I thought was really funny is it's so painfully obvious they were going to name the movie Skipping Christmas.
Right.
Because people say that 6-7 times throughout the movie. Somebody brings up, they're skipping Christmas. Or Tim Allen will say, we're skipping Christmas.
Writes up a memo. We are skipping Christmas this year.
Yeah. They hit you over the head with that.
Right. And remember, she can't know that they're about to skip Christmas.
Yeah. It seems like at the 11th hour they went, Christmas with the Kranks.
Yeah, I think it would have been better skipping Christmas because Kranks just sounds nasty.
It does, yeah.
It doesn't sound like a really pleasant time to be hanging out with the Kranks.
Yeah. So a couple other little trivia tidbits.
Okay.
The ridiculous swimsuits they wear to the tanning booth?
They are etched into my memory against my will, yes.
Against your will, yes. The ad he saw that inspired him to book the cruise, the models in the photo are wearing the same swimsuits. Did you catch when Luther and Nora are hiding from Frohmeyer and the kids out front of the house with the Christmas trees? That he goes, Well, who's he gonna call? A little reference to Dan Aykroyd being in Ghostbusters.
No, I didn't catch that. I missed that.
The other Ghostbusters reference is later in the movie. He asks, do you know anybody at Con Ed? The Ghostbusters had pretended to be from Con Ed in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, okay. Long time since I've seen Ghostbusters 2.
Right. Not the one you go back to rewatch very often. We always love a good alternate casting.
Yep.
So there aren't a whole lot of alternate castings listed for Nora Crank, Jamie Lee Curtis's part, but there are quite a few for Luther Crank. The only one I see for Nora, apparently Ali Sheedy was considered. Not to be against Tim Allen, but against one of the other options.
Right.
But here's some of the different options for Luther. Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Ben Stiller.
Okay.
Vince Vaughn.
I can see Vince Vaughn doing it more than the other two.
Bryan Cranston.
I can see that.
Tom Hanks.
Okay.
And very early in because apparently this was in development for a while, Mel Gibson.
Okay.
Kind of wild.
I can see Mel Gibson now, but not Mel Gibson in like 2004.
Right.
Before we knew some of the stuff about
him.
Yeah,
some of the issues, if you will.
He's taken a more kind of nasty turn in the past couple decades, so I can see him doing that now. You know how I brought up earlier that the figure Luther figured up for how much they spent on Christmas was $6,100? Were you ever a big fan of Home Improvement? I watched it off and on. Almost every tool featured on Tool Time was the Binford 6100. Oh, okay. Like, it didn't matter if it was a screwdriver, a socket wrench set or something. It was the Binford 6100. Right. It was just this weird number they just stuck with. It sounds impressive. It does, yeah. Yeah. Well, any other thoughts on Christmas with the Kranks before we move into some other Christmas-related discussion? Not really. It's not it's for as much as I say I didn't like the first part of it, it's not one that really inspires conversation on that front. Like, I just didn't like how much of a jerk everyone was towards each other. Everybody. Everyone was a jerk to everyone else. The only person who wasn't actively being a jerk to somebody was Jamie Lee Curtis. Yep. Through the whole first 2 acts of the movie, she's just like, he just wants to skip Christmas, okay? Just leave us alone. Right. Yeah. And even she was getting fed up with Luther there. Yeah. Towards the end of the second act. It's like, why can't we just put up a wreath? But yeah, she really feels... That felt bad for her. I did, yeah. Like, she just is trying to skate through this. She is. But yeah, it is. It's kind of brutal on her character. But yeah, overall, it's a fine movie. It's really fairly inoffensive. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if it pops up on cable, watch it. Right. It's fun. Yeah. It's one that I wouldn't even discourage, like, jumping in halfway through if you catch it late. You're going to catch the good part. Yeah. You might miss a couple of decent laughs, but, the heartwarming Christmassy bits all in the last third of the movie. Yeah, I guess part of my problem with it is I'm kind of over the Scrooge bit of, we're going to make a Christmas movie about someone who just doesn't want anything to do with Christmas. Yeah. By the end of it, they're going to want something to do with Christmas. Like, I was watching a bunch of the specials last year, and it feels like every other one was just, I don't like Christmas. And everyone else going, yeah, but you're wrong to feel that way, and we're going to spend the next half hour showing you why. Yep. It's every Hallmark Christmas movie. Yeah. Is, either I'm a big city businesswoman, and I don't care about Christmas, or I'm a big city businessman, and I don't care about Christmas. And I'm going to go to my hometown and fall in love with some person who owns a Christmas tree farm. Right. Or a hot cocoa shop, or some other business that doesn't exist. Yeah. Very seasonal, very niche. But there are even, to take some of the heat off of this, there are even Christmas movies that I like. Oh, yeah. That follow that same formula. I believe, and this is one that you haven't seen, but the movie Klaus... Mm-hmm. On Netflix. I believe I recommended it to you, and I said, you just have to get through the first, 44 minutes where everyone is being bad to each other. Yeah. It is a downer for that first stretch, but it pays off so well. Yeah. And I guess this one does, too. It's just... Yeah. It's kind of a, all right, man, we get it. Like... He doesn't like Christmas. Yeah. Or in this case, it's not even that he doesn't like Christmas. He just wants to go on this cruise more. Right. And that's another thing. Like, I get that at the end when he's like, we could still make the cruise. She's like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I just went on a like $3,000 vacation. And if one day beforehand someone had called up and said, guess what? You don't get to go. I would have been mad too.
Yeah.
You know? That's the thing is, she does call up and say, hey, guess what? We're going to be there tonight.
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah. And I want everything to be perfect when I get there. Luther's within his rights to be like, are you kidding me? And you're bringing a guy home that you're marrying who just like, I saw you at Thanksgiving and you were single.
Yeah.
You're throwing a lot of stuff at me here.
Now, in her defense, apparently she had known him for years and things had just become that kind of way. But, you know, still.
Dating is
still
fine.
Nuts.
Like, I knew my wife for years before I started dating her. It still took a lot of dating before we got to engaged. Yeah, that whole thing. I understand where he's coming from there.
Yeah. You're not wrong, but you are an a-hole kind of
yeah,
thing.
You're being kind of a jerk about it, but I probably would be a jerk too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
Yep.
Another funny thing before we get off of this movie and discuss some other Christmas-related topics. They said the word so many times in this movie.
They did. If they had to put money in the jar, we would have, like, doubled it.
I was counting, and I think we were up to, like, 6. And not even just, like, casually in a sentence, just by itself. Just the way I do.
Right.
You know, just a casual, absolutely.
Yeah, tank.
Tank, yeah. You mentioned in our last episode you had other holiday-related topics.
I'd like to kind of, get people in on our... Because we both love Christmas.
We do.
We both love talking about Christmas. Neither of us would think of skipping Christmas.
It would never cross my mind.
No.
I like Labor Day.
Labor Day, yeah. Arbor Day.
Arbor Day. I like nature. I like trees. Feel the need to have a holiday about it.
I like them all the time. I don't need a day for it.
Yeah.
But, I'd like to kind of, at least, once a week do, throughout the Christmas season, once an episode, maybe a little bit of a thought-provoking Christmas.
Oh, okay.
I want to know, what is your favorite Christmas present that you ever gave?
Oh, gave.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'm not messing around with these thought-provoking questions.
That's solid. For me, it would probably be... I used to be a photographer for a bunch of years.
Mm-hmm. I got a picture of I used to...
You do,
right
yeah.
there.
You have an Alex Grace original.
Yep.
And one of my favorites, too.
There you go.
That's a 1 of 1 also.
Nice.
I never made another print of that.
I should have you autograph it.
I already did.
Oh, did you?
Right there in the window.
Ah, how about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great radio. Most of my work was, family pictures, senior pictures, pictures of people's kids, that kind of thing.
Right.
Your usual working photographer stuff. But when we were on a family trip to South Carolina, we went to Clemson University, which is where my dad's dad was an assistant football coach. And, was a place that was, really near and dear to my dad's heart. We got to Death Valley, their football stadium. Great name.
Cheery name.
Yeah. And the gates were open. Like, wide open. Nothing was going on. There was no game, no nothing.
Grounds crew had just...
Yeah, the grounds crew was around, and we kind of looked at them as we kind of approached the open gates, and they just kind of waved at us. And we walked towards the gate, looked back at them, they waved at us again, like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Go on.
We're like, cool. So we walked right in. Nobody stopped us, so it was fine. We even walked past some security people, so I was like, this was not trespassing in any way.
Right. Cover all your bases.
Yeah. But I had my camera with me and took a couple of pictures around the stadium. My dad was just kind of there soaking in the moment, like, he hadn't been there in decades. When we got home, I got them printed. I used some of my photographer connections and got them printed on metal.
Oh, nice.
And gave them to my dad for Christmas. And he loved it.
Nice.
They have hung in our house ever since.
Right.
I've given a lot of other, pretty good gifts, but I think that one is one of the ones that had, the biggest effect. Right. I knew I nailed it.
Yeah. There's something great about having that present under the tree and just going, that's the one right there.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, that's probably the one for me.
Nice. For me, it would be before we were married. I think it was the first year we were dating, even. Megan was really into the video game series Gears of War.
Yeah. It's so funny. Megan is about the cheeriest, happiest person I know.
Yep.
She's kind of like a bottle of sunshine. Picturing her being just giddy playing a video game where a guy has a chainsaw on the end of his gun is hilarious.
Yep. She played all of them. She had just gotten into video games.
Yeah.
when I found out that she'd found a series she really liked, I was ready to go all out on it. So I got her all of the, there were only 3 games out then. They've come out with more since. I got her the collector's editions of all 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
I got the collector's editions of the strategy guides for all 3 of them. I got her they're like dog tags, but they're shaped like cogs, and so they're cog tags, Gears of War.
That's cool.
I got her the soundtracks to all 3 of them, and then instead of wrapping it all, I got an old ammo case.
That's really cool.
That's still sitting in our house, and I spray painted on top of it the logo.
That's really
with some
cool.
help from my dad. And I put it all in there, and there are some things that was like, oh, cool, like this section of the ammo case is made specifically for something exactly this size.
Yeah.
So I got it all in there and put it all together like that and all in the case. And she was really surprised with that one. And
that's cool.
I was sitting under my bed for a long time because I didn't want to carry an ammo case all the way downstairs. It's a big, heavy metal ammo
yeah,
case.
it's solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it in your house.
Yeah, it's just right over under the space heater right now, actually. But yeah, she'd come over and I'd tell her, oh, yeah, I got you something. And the entire time I was sitting under my bed and I was like, this is going to be big.
Okay, I'm going to flip it around on you.
Okay.
What is your favorite Christmas cookie?
Oh, okay. I kind of like the Pillsbury slice and they're not slice and bakes anymore.
Oh, yeah, like the ones with the little shapes on them.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those too.
We have some in the fridge. I might make them up after we're done with this because they don't take long.
I always loved the Halloween ones with like the little ghost on them or the little pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even think of anything like mass produced.
Right. We don't do a whole lot of like
baking,
home baking.
Mine is what we had always thought was just some recipe my great-grandmother got from her neighbor, which it was, but we always knew them as Helen Maxwell's, because my great-grandmother, when she got a recipe, just named it whoever gave her the recipe.
Right.
They were Helen Maxwell's cookies. So we made up Helen Maxwell's every year. They're a delicious combination, and somebody in the audience might know what these are before I say what they are. And you're going to think, man, this sounds rich. So the bottom of it is graham crackers, cocoa, coconut, and walnuts, and lots of butter.
Okay.
You take all that, you crush down the graham crackers and the coconut and everything, make it into a fine base, use the butter to just kind of turn it into a crust. Put this in the freezer for like 30 minutes. You take it back out. You take butter, powdered sugar, and vanilla pudding mix to make kind of a vanilla filling. You cover the whole crust with that. Put it back in the freezer for like 20, 30 minutes. Then you pull it back out, and you make a top layer of melted chocolate chips, and yes, more butter.
Feel my arteries clogging already.
Yeah, this is just like heart attack cookie. You don't need a big one. You just need a little one. But we made these for years. They were always a favorite whenever we brought cookies to other people. Of course, you'd have to make special batches for people who couldn't eat coconut or walnuts or whatever.
Right.
It was always a hit. And no one ever said anything or knew that this was a thing already. Like, we always just thought it was, something Helen Maxwell cooked up. It turns out it is actually a popular Canadian dessert called Nanaimo. I was watching a documentary about food from around the world or something like that, and they went to the little town of Nanaimo, British Columbia, where they make this fascinating cookie, and they started describing it, and I'm like, that's a freaking Helen Maxwell. And then they started showing pictures, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta come in here.
You've never shared them with me.
I absolutely have brought you some, and you said you loved them. You just don't remember it.
Well, maybe you need to bring me more, because I've forgotten.
Okay.
You'll
get some when I make them.
Yeah. I do also like Lebkuchen. My grandmother used to make Lebkuchen. I think my sister mentioned making it this year since Grandma's not around, but...
For those of us who don't know what Lebkuchen is, me included.
It's like a honey cake cookie with like candied fruit in it.
Ooh. Yeah. That sounds very good.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmother would make it every year, and then she would give a whole tray of it to my mom, who would stick it in the freezer, and then like once a week, like Saturday morning, she'd get a little piece of Lebkuchen to eat with her coffee, and then she'd hide it away again.
That's awesome.
And my dad and my sister don't really like it.
That's funny.
And so when we were cleaning up stuff after Mom passed, like, we don't know what to do with all this Lebkuchen that's piled up. I'm like, right here. Right
here.
Pick
this
me,
guy.
Pick me. I'll eat it. And it did not last as long as Donna Clark made it last. We both love our Lebkuchen. We both express our love in different ways. But if there is some Lebkuchen made this year, I will share it.
Excellent. I will share Helen Maxwell's /Nanaimo.
Yeah, I'll call it Helen Maxwell.
Helen Maxwell, I'm sure you are long since passed, but thank you for sharing that recipe.
If you're part of the Helen Maxwell clan, a descendant of Helen Maxwell, her legacy lives on.
Yes, it does.
Oh.
Well, we got 2 more weeks of this.
We do.
And 2 pretty solid Christmas movies left to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Yeah. The one that you have left is one I've been meaning to watch for years.
Yeah.
It's a Netflix original.
It is.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch that for years. I don't know what your awareness of the one that I'm doing has been, but...
It's one that's crossed my radar a couple of times, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah.
Came out in a weird period where I think we'd been stung by a couple of bad Christmas movies and just kind of stuck to our old favorites.
And it does have the feeling, like, right at the beginning of, oh, cool, another one of these.
Yeah.
But if you get past, like, the first 10 minutes of it, like, it does that first part well, and then it really develops. I'm looking forward to that one. So.
Awesome.
And hopefully my voice has recovered by then, because I might do a whole lot more talk. If my allergies haven't passed in the next week, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, that's not allergies at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when it's supposed to be this cold.
Yeah, it's down below freezing tonight. I was hoping that was going to help this, but no.
Alas. Well, we'll go ahead and get out of here so Dan can recover his voice.
Yeah.
You can find us all over the social medias. You can find us at Facebook. Search You Skipped That, 3 words. And on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok, it's You Skipped That, all one word.
All one word.
So join us on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. for our movie guessing game. Try and figure out what movie we're going to be talking about next week.
And that's on Instagram, right?
Instagram at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in England, it's going to be late night.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Got to be dedicated.
Got to get up at what? I think it's like 10 p.m. there.
I don't know.
It's like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week for another Ho-Ho Holidays edition of You Skip That. I'm Alex Grace.
And I'm Dan Clark.
Bye-bye.
Bye.